One of the nice things you can then do is open a gallery view, and I can see little thumbnails of the cards I have done so far. Hello everyone, I'm Amy. Welcome back. I mentioned in a previous video that I would show how I use a tool like Notion to simplify my tracking of a challenge like the Index Card a Day Challenge, fondly known as ICAD. And I did a previous video on how I track my daily drawings in general. And the ICAD challenge works very similarly, but by setting up a small side database that I can plug into my larger drawing database, I can capture some of the specifics about ICAD and keep an overview of where I am, what I've shared, what I've done, what prompts I've followed, and so on. So I thought I would go through today how you can set something up like this too. If you're new to using some kind of digital tracking tool, then I want to go over a little bit how to think about that, how to set your spreadsheet or database up. Maybe you already keep a tracker in your bullet journal or in a sketchbook or just in a journal, and you're used to checking things off, or maybe you just make a big list and you check that off every day. Switching over to a spreadsheet format or a database format may sound intimidating, but it's really not. It can be very similar to how you use any kind of grid-like tracker in your bullet journal, any kind of habit tracker, anything where you're just checking off every day whether or not you did it. But the spreadsheet has added functionality in that you can add different categories and you can add them at any point. It doesn't matter. You don't have to figure out, oh no, I didn't leave space on my page for this or that. You can go in and add them at any time. You can change them at any time. And then you can visualize that data differently. You can say, okay, I just want to see everything I did in blue, or let me look at everything I did in magenta, or how many days did I do the prompt? How many days did I not do the prompt? Did I share all of these things? And maybe you keep some other notes along with that. So the first thing I would recommend is that you take a piece of paper. You don't have to start this way, but it might help you visualize what you're doing and just go through the process. What is it that you want to track about ICAD, about doing your drawings? And I'm going to show you this on paper first. If you are way beyond this and you're thinking, definitely just go ahead. You can use the timestamps below and click forwards to the Notion part. But if you were just starting from paper and you wanted to say, okay, here are the things I know that I want to record and track every day during ICAD. So you want to know what number it is. So ICAD runs 2 months, 61 formal prompts. So there will definitely be cards 1 to 61. You want to know what the prompt was for the day. You want to know what the date was for the day. It's just helpful to be able to match those things up when you're looking at your data. You want to know what you did. So what did you do on your card? You want to know what mediums you used, or what tools or what materials, whether that's that you used watercolor this day, or that you used collage this day, or that you used alcohol markers another day. You might want to know what colors you used. That sort of depends on you and what kind of art you're creating. Sometimes that's really interesting to say, oh, I use this set of colors over and over and over again. Or, oh, look, there was the one day that I used blue. That would be me because I don't use blue. You want to know whether or not you did the prompt. So it's an easy thing to check it off. Here's the prompt, and did you do the prompt? You don't have to do the prompt. They're totally optional. Something that you might want to record. So if we switch over to Notion, I'm going to show first, this is a mock-up version of the database that I'm using. Mine is slightly different because it's plugged into my drawing database, which is a much larger database. This is just showing the month, but this is a much larger database that I keep, and I have several different ways to look at this data. So mine is plugged in. My ICAD database is pulling certain bits of information from my larger drawing database. But I've set up a sample here that is a flat one that's not hooked into anything else, that I'm going to just quickly show what this looks like, and then I'm going to walk you through how you can set up your own, because it's really not hard. I think it's such a powerful tool and it's so flexible, and I just love it. I love Notion for so many things, but for those of us who are artists and creatives, it is fantastic for tracking. So this is just a sample of what an ICAD tracking database might look like. And all of these things are customizable. None of these things are required. It really is however you want to set it up. So this would be a sample. I've got the date in, the number of the ICAD, the prompt. When Tammy provides these, I add these in. So I have a few here that I need to add in. So for example, 16 is trinket, 17 is color wheel. So I would just go in here and add trinket and color wheel, and then I can add the date so that I know when these will be. This will already be filled in. And then I would just keep doing that. I can fill in the rest of the ones that are available, and as they are added each week, I can update it. So I would record the prompt, and then I might have a category here for notes. What am I thinking for these days? If I'm thinking ahead, what might I do for some of these? I am behind right now in thinking anyway, so I don't have any notes. Whether or not I did the prompt, I'm checking that off each day. My mediums this summer are primarily Copic and Micron, so those are the things I would choose, but you could have other things here, and I'll show you how that looks. In theory, I am tracking some of the color usage, background colors, and the Copic palette. In actuality, those end up sort of noted down on a scrap piece of paper. What you all call a mop-up paper is what I use for my Copic little swatches and numbers for each daily set, but I am behind in entering that here. Ideally, you would enter it all at the same time. Your subject, mine are all portraits, but yours might be something different. I do track the gender of the person that I draw, vertical or horizontal. My cards are all vertical this year. They probably will be all vertical, but it's something that I track. And then I have a bunch of different things I'm looking for to see if I do. So I'm just checking them off. Are there patterns within the portrait, patterns in the background? A couple ways I thought I might want to look at it differently. What did I put in the background if there were patterns? Do I have this circle thing that I'm using? A word in the hair? So I've got some things I'm looking at. The muse that I'm using, I'm noting that, and I am trying to put the image in that I'm using because it's very easy to lose track of that. So I found that helpful this time around. And then I'm trying to upload an image of the card. And then I try to track some sharing a little bit. It's not super mandatory or necessary or required. It depends on you. But I'm involved in a number of different places, and I am in the ICAD Facebook group, so I want to make sure that I share there. I also always want to make sure I share at Instagram, but I oftentimes go back and share in my group, the Creativity Matters podcast group at Facebook. And sometimes I share those in groups or batches instead of every day. And then I try, at least with ICAD, to go back and share at Sketchy. You pull up the muse photo you used and you upload your art so that people can see your version of a piece of art based on that image. So those are some of the things I am looking at and some of the things I am tracking. One of the nice things you can then do is open a gallery view, and I can see little thumbnails of the cards I have done so far. So 1 to 11 are here. 0, actually, that was a warm-up prompt, a challenge prompt. So it's really nice to be able to just open them up this way. And if I click through, I go right back into the record and I can update data there or make any changes. So I think the gallery view is a really wonderful way to be able to look at your work. And you can change this around a little bit. I am using the card image I uploaded as the image we see. These are large. I could set it small and be able to look at more of them at a time that way. Or I could even say that I want to fit the image, and then it will just show me the actual square image that I've uploaded there. I like it just fine being cropped off and filling the space a little bit better. So that's medium. Lots of things you can do. You can change the title here. You can change this icon and you can add a cover. And if I had a handy image of a bunch of ICAD cards, I would do that, but I don't really need to for this. So if you wanted to do this yourself, how would you go about it? That's our next step. Okay, so I have set up just a new blank table, brand new page. We'll call it ICAD sample so I don't get confused later. Got my own ICAD and the version I just showed you, which is slightly modified. This is a blank table. Blank. The sky is the limit, right? It's pretty awesome. You can add an icon, like I said. Random one comes up and you can change that to whatever you want. Let's see. Let's pick something. We'll just pick a picture here. And again, you can add a cover, and I don't have a good one to show you, but let's just put rainbow and pull something bright and colorful in for the example of this. Let's just use this sort of a graffiti-like background. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we've already talked about what you might want to track, and here's how you set that up. For the name, you could set that up as the prompt, or you could set that up as the number. Either way. For you, it might make sense to say that this is the prompt. We'll use number 15 as our example. So that is chartreuse. Okay. And then we said that we needed to know what number it is. So we're going to make this the number. And we're going to make that a number type. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. And you will have to actually add these numbers. So this was 15. And then we want to add another one. We want to say the date. So it's the date for the actual card. Depending on how you track, if you do it on a different day, you might want another category that shows the date that you actually do it. But the date for this card would be June 15th if you're doing them on the stated date. What did you do? So my card could be anything. It could be, what did I do? What did you do? And it might be that you want a text note here. Depends on how complicated your cards are. On my card, I did this. You want to know what mediums you used. And we'll make that a multi-select. So for me, those are things like Copic and Micron, could be fountain pen, might be collage for you, it might be watercolor, it might be acrylic. You might have used stencils. You might have used fabric. You might have used sewn stitches. You might have used stamps, like postage. You might have used stamps, like ink. And then you can go in and you can change and customize these things to be whatever colors you want them to be. So I won't spend a lot of time showing that, but you can definitely go in and change all of these so that they work the way you want. If you only like one color, they can definitely all be the same color. If you like some of the colors and not others, you can definitely update them that way. So they're all here and we don't want them all there because we didn't do all those. So let's say on this day we used watercolor and stencils. And so we would just select what we used. If you're tracking color, you can definitely build that in. You could just make a note about it, or you could set it up with a select, the same way we just did this one. So you might have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You might have pink, you might have white, you might have lavender, you might have black, you might just say rainbow, you might just say multi. You might have a lot of different ways that you would want to identify the colors that you're using. And you probably would want to go through and update all of these. So I have updated all those now, and your daily thing probably wouldn't have all of them. Let's see, let's just wipe them out for now. And maybe it did. Maybe you did a rainbow set that day. So we'll just do that. So you can track that way. You could track by specific number or specific color. If you're a painter, you might want to be noting which specific watercolor you were using or which specific acrylic. Same thing for Copic. There are obviously lots of very similar shades. So I might have 3 different reds, and when I look back at the card, I have no idea which red it was. So if you take the time to make those notes, then you know later. And in the moment, it might not seem super critical to know, but later you might wish that you knew. And then we know that we need to track, did I do the prompt? And I'm going to put a checkbox here. So that'll be, did I do the prompt today? And we'll make that a checkbox so that we can just yes or no it. A couple of different ways you could note that, but this is a really straightforward and easy way to do it. And it could be as simple as that. Oh, you do want to upload your picture, your card. So that would be an image. And I usually go in on my phone. I use the Notion app, and I just go in and I pull up the ones that I haven't added the image to and add my image. So we've got the name, the prompt number, the date, what you did on the card, the mediums you used, the colors you used. Prompt, you might want to have your caption, so you could type in or paste in, either way, what you said about your card. It's a great way to do it. I'm making all these small right now just so it's easier to see them. And then if you wanted to track, if you shared your card, then you can. So it might be, if you're in the Facebook group, you could just say shared. If you're going to do this in multiple places though, you might just want to say Facebook and just check it off. Did you share it at Facebook? And maybe you share it at Instagram. I'll use IG. And so then you could check that one off. And that way you just have a sense of an easy way to look back and say, oh, I didn't upload that, or I didn't share that and I meant to. So there are so many other things you could do. If you were working on a series and you wanted to know if you, for example, were doing a lyric and you wanted to put a lyric or a quote each day, then you could definitely add it in here. Did I add this each day? Was that part of my card? And to help as you go through entering these things, you might move it over here. You might put the prompt all the way over here. You know, my card was this, did I do the prompt? And then start filling out the things that you did. You might want your caption to go here. You can drag them around however you like. So there is an infinite number of ways that you could track your own ICAD and the different things that you put. If you use multiple size cards, you might need to do that here. You might want to either say 4x6, or you might want to have 3x5. If all of your cards are the same, you probably don't need it. But if you use both, then you might want to record that. So those are some of the basics. As you saw in my example, I am tracking a bunch of other things, and you will want to customize your database or your spreadsheet so that you are tracking things very specific to your project. And then to add that other view, we don't have an image in here though, so it won't really work. But to add the gallery view, you just go in and you create a gallery, and what you want to do then under the properties for this is select the card image to be used for your your image here. And then you can turn on other things, like if you wanted to show the date and the mediums, you can show as much as you want. You could show your caption. You can show a lot of stuff in the gallery view. But the primary benefit of the gallery for us tracking something like ICAD is that we would see the visual overview, all of those images at once in a nice, tidy, neat grid that just lets us see, oh yeah, this is how it went. These are the things I made, and this is how it unfolded. Because oftentimes, whether you work in a series or not, through the course of 61 days, there are changes and small pivots and little things that happen. Some things fall away. You might have started doing 5 certain things every day, and some of them you decide not to do, and you end up doing 3, or you end up doing 2, or maybe only one thing lasts the whole series. But you can sort of see some of that progression when you look at your cards. Sometimes you can see the progression of color. Sometimes you can see the progression of background treatment. All kinds of things might show up when you look at your own series. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you will give it a try. I hope that you might think about it. I do have some other videos about how to use Notion and how to use Notion specifically for tracking creativity and art. So if you're interested, you might check those out. If you have questions, definitely leave them in the comments or reach out to me somehow, and I'm happy to answer them. And I hope that you find that it's a really good way to keep track of your 61-day art challenge, because that's a lot of art. And you want to be able to just make it as easy as possible to log it and document it so that you can spend all your time doing it. And after you set your database up, it really only takes a minute every day at the end of the day or right after you finish your card. You just go ahead and you add your entry to Notion, and then it's there and done. It doesn't take any time at all to just call one of these up with your card finished and just go, oh, here's the name, number. And like I said, I would put the name and number in. I would go and do all of those, what you did on your card, and just go through and check off these boxes. And then it's logged. And then at the end, you're going to have that beautiful gallery view. So I hope you consider it and give it a try. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoy this kind of talk and enjoy thinking about creativity and documentation and logging and all of that, please give the Creativity Matters podcast a try. Podcast has been around for 15 years, and it's always different elements of creativity that come up, but it's really all about living a creative life and fitting that in and making it a priority in your day-to-day, valuing that creative life. So check it out, creativitymatterspodcast.com. Thanks.